Happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of Drank and Champagne. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Andrew Champagne. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
Just trying to stay dry like the rest of the country, I guess. Weather's going to be something we have to talk about on this show. We'll get there. But yeah, just trying to keep the nose to the grindstone. Cheap plug. If you're looking at the Pollock Report website, you will see this week's Derby bubble, which went up late on Wednesday. I waited a little bit to see what Keeneland was going to do with this week's cards. We would be handicapping this week's cards at Keeneland. We love handicapping Keeneland's cards for this show. But in case you haven't heard, Friday and Saturday have now become Monday and Tuesday. So it's not often you see a 100-point Kentucky Derby prep race on a Tuesday, but here we are. And honestly, good on Keeneland for being able to get out in front of this and being able to move those to days where maybe the track won't be completely underwater. What that does leave us with, though, is a couple of slates on Saturday that, I mean, Santa Anita's 5-horse field for the Santa Anita Derby is pretty depressing, especially if you're a horse in need of Kentucky Derby points. Aqueduct does have a pretty nice card. It is the close to the second anniversary of one of the greatest days of not just my career, but my life as a whole. Once again, Lord Miles Day, April 8th. We're recording this on April 2nd, so we have 6 more shopping days until Lord Miles Day. Josh, you were bragging about a package. I expect many packages at my door on April 8th from all of the fine listeners of the Drank and Champagne podcast. And hey, if you're out there, go down there on YouTube, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. Got a couple of fun memes planned leading up to that day as well. And Josh, I know you're absolutely just thrilled, over the moon, tickled pink, knowing that.
You know, the fact that he's not hung up behind you in the new place yet, I just block it out of my mind right now. But
well, I'm just saying, I got it off screen. If you want to see it later, I can go grab it. In fact, maybe when you're talking about some of the pick four at Aqueduct for Friday's card, maybe I'll need to go get it so that good old Lord Miles can be with me here. I'm starting to finally hang some stuff up here. There's an autographed picture of Arnold Palmer signed and dedicated to my grandmother that is out in the dining room. Pretty happy about that. I did come away with a little bit of a cut on my left hand, though. I was trying to hang something. It fell off. Glass broke. I needed to vacuum all of that, pick that stuff up, and wound up with a little cut right on the underside of my left pinky finger. So, and not fun, especially when right after that I went to the driving range with my fiance because, you need 10 functioning fingers for that. So, not fun, especially when you're hitting driving range balls that feel like metal posts. Yeah, just trying to get timing down. She's picking up golf and very much enjoys it. But yeah, that was not the best range experience today. Josh, how are you holding up, man?
I'm doing all right. Actually, I've been thinking about heading out to the range. Weather hasn't really been great here. We had a couple of warm days, and then, the last, just like everybody else, it's been raining like crazy here the last couple days. But it's starting to warm up again. We've had these weird times where like it warms up for 2-3 days, and then it drops to freezing basically, and then it kind of warms up for another couple days. We're gonna get hot and cold here a little bit. Yeah, I say this every year, but this year especially because our friend Brian Duransky has decided to pick up more golf this year, so I'm gonna try and get out with him. I'm gonna try and get out with him a little bit, and try and play, because I just really don't like playing solo, so I haven't done it much. Yeah, I used to play all the time. I actually played on our high school's golf team.
Oh, nice.
Fun fact. But it was a no-cut sport, and so it was a no-cut sport, and it was basically like me hanging out with my friends at the driving range, 2-3 times a week. And the way that they worked it out is, I believe, and I could be wrong, but it's an 8-man team, right? It's four 2 pairs, right?
Twosomes, yes.
Twosomes, yes. And so it's twosome and twosome. So you're right, you pair up with another twosome from the other team. And it basically the way that my school did it, because I think the way it works is like only the top four scores count. Um, so the way my school did it is if you were in the top either five or six, you played the next match, and if you weren't, then you would basically just like rotate out, right? And
Right.
so we would rotate the bottom two or three spots every match. So there was like I don't know like 10 or 15, there was like 10 or 15, 10 to 15 of us on a team. So you basically played like 2 rounds a month, and you got to go to the driving range for free basically 2 3 times a week. So it was nice. That's how I learned how to play. I literally joined the golf team not knowing how to play, and basically learned like playing on the golf team, which like I said is not like golf is very very competitive at a lot of schools. I was like it was a very very unique situation, but I'm very thankful for it because I was able to learn how to play a little bit. And then as I got older, I took lessons and stuff. And you know, I'm a hack, right? But you know, I can hit a good shot here and there. So it's fun. It's just I don't know. I've had some bad experiences getting paired up, and maybe we can maybe as golf season kicks off, we can talk a little bit more about that as we get playing more. But Andrew, I had a couple things I wanted to talk about before we got into this pick four.
We actually have a formatted show, folks. Josh made notes. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, you want to know the funny thing is the first thing I thought of is like, man, I should have put this additional thing on the notes. I real quick, any quick thoughts on the preps last week?
Um, I'm more impressed with the Florida Derby than you are, solely because horses 9 and 10 aren't supposed to win going a mile and an eighth at Gulfstream Park. The outside posts are supposed to be death, and they ran 1-2. I was impressed by that. The Arkansas Derby, not so much. That race completely fell apart in favor of Sandman. Sandman's a nice horse. If you're significantly upgrading him from where he was before that race, after a race that could not have possibly worked out any better for him, I think that's a mistake. The prep that I think is the most intriguing, I'm not going to say it was the best, but it's the most intriguing, came from Japan. A horse by the name of Luxor Cafe is now Derby eligible, and he will potentially run on the first Saturday in May. I don't think he's as good as Forever Young was. You can make the argument Forever Young should have won the Kentucky Derby last year. Having said that, I looked at that prep race that he ran. Josh, this is a son of American Pharoah out of a more than ready mare. He raced 5 wide the whole way around the racetrack so as to avoid kickback, and he finished the last furlong in 12 seconds flat. Please, for the love of God, put this horse on the turf. Everything about this horse says turf. I understand that you kept this horse on the Japan Road to the Derby because he's a talented 3-year-old. And I don't think he beat a whole heck of a lot over last weekend. But the way that he did it, and I am by no means a confirmation expert. If you want that, go talk to Caitlin Free or somebody like that knows what they're talking about. He looks all turf. And what I'd hope is that they keep him in the States after the Kentucky Derby for the quote unquote Belmont Derby, which this year will be at Saratoga on 4th of July weekend, because I think he'd be a major player going up against our 3-year-olds on turf, most of which I don't think are very good.
Yeah. So a couple things. Uh, I basically don't want any horses I think that ran this weekend. This last weekend. I agree with you. I like honestly, I thought Cornucopian was just going to lay over that field, and I could not anticipate what happened there.
How angry are you at Rafael Bejarano for sending Speed King on a suicide mission?
No, I mean that's fine, but like like why what I I have no idea why they also sent Cornucopian on a suicide mission
John
along with him.
Velasquez on a speed horse. Our buddy Matt DeSantis has been talking about this for ages now,
Yeah,
where
but
people
people are
are
supposed to
just
get out of
supposed
the
to get out
way.
of
Yeah, they didn't. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what that was. Maybe Cornucopia ends up being your Pat Day Mile winner. At this point, we'll see what happens there. Um, and I don't know the Florida Derby. Um, I was I wasn't high on Tappan Street, but I thought that he was in there with a shot, and he ended up winning. But I don't know. It just it didn't look good. Visually, I wasn't a huge fan. We'll see what the figures come back. I haven't looked yet, but maybe the numbers are going to be eye pop, or the numbers are eye popping, and maybe I changed my mind. But at least like as of right now, like knee jerk reaction. No, not interested in anything I saw this weekend.
So I would agree with you if it was just what you see on paper. If what you see on paper is okay, Tapan Street rated fourth, just off the pace, swept up, made the lead, one going away. Sovereignty rallied to pick up the pieces to run second. Again, I'm going to stress this. Horses in posts 9 and 10 going a mile and an eighth at Gulfstream, they're not supposed to run well, let alone win. Sovereignty, I honestly think, may have been more impressive on Saturday because, in addition to breaking from post 10, he had to rate well off the pace under a jockey that hadn't ridden him and wound up conceding so much ground throughout. I would not be at all surprised if Sovereignty winds up the wise guy horse out of that race. And I think going into the first Saturday in May, he's got a shot because he does come out of the Fountain of Youth where he closed in Gulfstream's short stretch to nail River Timms, who comes back in the Bluegrass and is going to be a major player in that race. If River Timms runs well in the Bluegrass, I think it franks the form of that race. One of many reasons I think you want to watch the Bluegrass on Tuesday, remember, very closely.
Um, Also, in regards to Luxor Cafe, the at the Luxor there is a breakfast place called Pyramid Cafe,
Yep.
and unfortunately, I found out this last week. They have bottomless mimosas, and they were more than happy to give you a nice big one to go. No longer the case this time. They're pinching pennies. You cannot get a mimosa to go anymore. Where's the boo button? Boo to Pyramid Cafe at the Luxor. Um, I don't know. I guess I mean
In
Luxor.
fairness, I don't think we're booing the Pyramid Cafe. I think we're booing an accountant somewhere.
Um, yeah, it was funny. The other day, there was a post on Reddit asking about your favorite brunch places, and I always recommend Border Grill if you're there on the weekend. It's like last time I checked, I think it was between like 35 and $40. And it's all you can eat small plates. So like you kind of have to order, but they just bring them out for you, right? And it's Mexican inspired. I will tell you that my mom, who's born in Mexico, there were certain things that she said this tastes like my grandmother's cooking,
Oh,
which
wow.
is about as good as of a endorsement as you're gonna get from my mother. And
Anytime you can channel the abuela, you have to.
Exactly. And if you get bottomless mimosas there, they just bring you out a bottle of champagne and juices, so you mix your own, which is perfect because normally when you get bottomless, um, they like pre-mix them for you, and they like they water them down like crazy. Now obviously I haven't been there in a year and a half maybe, so who knows? Maybe the bean counters got to them too, but they they're their own like restaurant kind of place, so like they're not like owned by the casino, so maybe they're still sticking by their guns there, but
I mean, I've got to tell you, given that you deal with a champagne every week, I'm surprised you want more of it on your vacations.
I mean I don't think there's any better way to start Saturday or Sunday morning in Vegas than all you can drink mimosas. So I'll tell you what, Andrew, I'm not even kidding you. There's been my wife and I, when we were going during COVID all the time, or like post COVID, really, when stuff was cheap, rather, we would go Sunday through Thursday, and we would get the earliest flight in on Sunday and go straight to Border Grill and hit the mimosas right away. And if not, we were ending our trip Sunday morning, hitting the mimosas right away. So it was kind of a ritual for us. But
Can I just point out how insane it is that we turned this show into another Vegas episode?
hey, the horse's name is Luxor Cafe. What am I supposed to do?
A
Um,
valid question. I'm just making note of the fact. Don't make me point out that you're straying from the format.
Yeah, I know. Okay, now let's actually get to the notes. The biggest kind of, well, I don't know if it's the biggest news, but I guess the most interesting news that we kind of saw come out actually today on Wednesday was the announcement of the that new Netflix show. What's the title of it, Andrew?
Oh goodness, I don't know. You're going to make me look.
I know, right? I should put that in the notes. I just put Netflix show.
Insufficient note taking, completely and totally unacceptable. Race for the Crown is the
Race
name
for
of
the
the show,
Crown.
and it premieres April 22nd on Netflix. So yeah, I know what I'm going to be doing that day. It honestly, I came away with two takeaways. The first takeaway is this looks really well done. It's very slick. I think they interviewed the right people. You're going to wind up getting a variety of different points of view from people around the game. You're getting owners, you're getting trainers, you're getting jockeys. There's a couple of handicappers in there, if I heard it correctly. I believe it was Jonathan Kinchin's voice. That's the first one you hear in the trailer. There were some people out there I saw griping, talking about how there weren't handicappers in the trailer. We're not the show. The horses are the show. Come on, people. Let's be real. Horses are more interesting than we are. We're not going to make a sizzle reel. The second point, Mike Rapoli and Jon Stewart both show up in this trailer. I pointed out, first of all, everything is wrestling. Whether you want to admit it or not, everything goes by the principles of professional wrestling. Whether you want to see it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, that's your business. Okay. The based on what we saw in that trailer, where it was very clearly showing, or at least wanting to show, that a lot of the Twitter feud between Mike Rapoli and Jon Stewart was a work. I still stand by that they almost certainly don't like each other, but I think these are two smart guys who know what to do with microphones in their hands. I know a work when I see one, and I am not at all dissuaded by Jon Stewart tweeting at me saying there's no chance this is a work. And in fact, if you saw my reply to that, because he was pretty passionate about not liking Mike Rapoli and saying there's no chance at a relationship, I said, okay, so that makes you the Bret Hart of this scenario as opposed to Mike Rapoli being Shawn Michaels. Duly noted. I'm sorry. I still think it's a work. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
So, yeah, it looks good. I am a big fan of Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
It's what got me into F1. It's what got a
There's
lot of
also
people to think
Full
it's
Swing,
F1.
which does the PGA Tour and stuff. When Netflix goes whole hog with this, they do a great job. The production values are great. We keep talking about how we need stuff like this for horse racing. We have it now.
Um, so I did get a kick. I don't know if you saw the Netflix has got their own like blog kind of thing that like, they post news on. I think it's called like To Doom, right? But you can
Yep.
find it. It's like at Netflix. You want me? Let me read you this intro. Premiering April 22nd, the new series follows horse owners and jockeys over the course of a Grade 1 stakes thoroughbred racing season. The Kentucky Derby is commonly known as the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, but there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes, both before and after the run for the roses. Race for the Crown explores horse racing across 6 in-depth episodes, covering the thrilling journey from the Breeders' Cup to the Triple Crown. Plus, the racing world is full of colorful and controversial characters, including billionaire business tycoons and horse doping trainers, which leads to plenty of intense rivalries fueled by million-dollar investments and insatiable appetites for glory. Can you believe that they printed horse doping trainers into this basically press release for the show?
I believe it. And I'm also going to tell you something. As somebody that makes their living as a writer, editor, content producer, content strategist, senior editor, whatever you want to call it, Josh, that has ChatGPT written all over it.
The funny thing is, I was actually fact checking myself to make sure I found this on the official like Netflix site, and I did. Uh, as of 11:21 p.m. Central tonight, they have since fixed that sentence. So it just says including billionaire business tycoons and trainers. So they took the horse doping part out. Somebody must have caught that. But shout out to our friend Emily Optics EQ who kind of showed posted that being like, of course, right? We get on TV and they can't help but say that we're drugging horses. So.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, obviously not ideal, but that further drives home the point that this was ChatGPT. And my guess is somebody didn't edit it. They just copy and pasted, and then they got called out on it and they fixed it. Such is life when you're dealing with a writing and editing team that I'm just guessing is probably pretty understaffed as it is. And I'm not making excuses. That's just the way that it is.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. It should be good. Um, if you haven't seen any of the Netflix shows based on F1 or like you said, Full Swing, and what was the tennis one?
Oh goodness, I don't know the tennis one. I know that they for football they have quarterback and receiver.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
they
they're
do
all
a
good.
they do a really good job. They don't skimp on the production values. They interview a lot of people. We unfortunately do need to point out that they interview Frankie Dettori, who at that time had just walked back his retirement and tried to pass it off. I believe the quote used in the trailer was, "I'd rather die on the back of a horse than die of boredom."
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we know that there is more to that story, and I'm not going to make any jokes about that because bankruptcy is some serious shit, and I hope Frankie Dettori gets his stuff in order soon. But there was an article that came out from an overseas outlet that another one of our friends, the sniper Barry Spears, sent us, and it's it's not good.
All right, moving on. Um, you know, this would be the part where we'd be talking about Keeneland. We'd be talking about some racing and getting excited for opening day. I always I always say with Keeneland, basically Keeneland opening day uh, is like super exciting. I'm always excited for it. Love playing it. And then by the Saturday of the opening of the meet, I'm like, why was I excited for this? Right? Because it's either just like a chalk fest or just a horse I would never stop coming when I don't know. I have a love hate relationship with Keeneland. It's a beautiful track to visit. I love going there. But I have, with the exception, Andrew, of one of our first episodes where I hit that pick six carryover, I have not had much success there. I mean, that success, will pay the way for a lot of non-success. But we're running out of time here in the next year or two to stay positive. I think lifetime at Keeneland, but
Yeah,
um,
runway is diminishing a little bit. I can share that sentiment with you because the first half of the initial Lord Miles Day back on 2023 was me flailing at Keeneland. And there were a number of issues that day that I remember pretty vividly. Race number one, the simulcast signal dropped for 20 seconds. It was a Roberts thing, could have been sunspots, could have been any number of technical issues, but they went to black as the field turned for home, and it came right back up as they came onto the wire. So nobody saw the stretch run until the replay happened after the race. There was one instance where a winner of a graded stakes race was bet down from, I believe it was 23-1 to 11-1, like hammered, one click. There was another instance where there was major contact in the stretch of another stake race. I believe it was the Appalachian, and there was nothing so much as an inquiry. It was a really bad day there. Weird stuff tends to happen at Keeneland, but, and this is a very large but, It's one of the few cathedrals of American horse racing that still exists. It's special because it's a boutique meet. It's only around for a couple of weeks in April, a couple of weeks in the fall. Are you listening, Saratoga? It's one of those places that's special. I was supposed to go there several years ago. I had tickets booked. I was going to stay with my dear friends, the Nevelses. And then the world broke. It was 2020. Everything shut down the month before. I have not had a chance to be able to get back there. I was very much looking forward to that. I have heard nothing but absolutely glowing things about Keeneland. The people that are in charge there, by and large, do things exactly the right way. The racing is top notch. The jockey colony is top notch. The trainers are top notch. It's a reflection of the best that the sport has to offer. And Keeneland does big days as well as just about anybody. That's how they got into the Breeders' Cup rotation. So I'm very much looking forward to this meet. It's going to be very interesting seeing the handle they get on Monday and Tuesday after what is, I guess, technically going to be their opening day card on Sunday. They've got to rebrand everything now. One other thing, though, that I do want to spotlight is Keeneland offers free past performances on their website. You can access those. You can download them. You don't have to go through an ADW. You don't have to go through anywhere else. The past performances are right there for you. Now, there are no frills. You're not going to get ragazine numbers. You're not going to get thorograph numbers. But that's such an easy thing for tracks to do. And I wish more tracks did it. One of our friends, John, who works down in the Maryland circuit, pointed out Laurel does indeed do this. I imagine Pimlico is going to start doing that when they have their meet in May. It's another instance of Keeneland doing a lot of things right. I also have it on good authority that due to his distaste for the bread pudding, Matthew DeSantis is permanently banned from the facility. Can you confirm or deny that?
I mean, it's not good. I'm a big fan of bread pudding. I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of bread pudding.
See,
I've
never had it. Obviously, I've never been to Keeneland, but the outcry that he got for saying it was merely okay. I mean, look, that spotlights the fact that some people on horse racing Twitter pay for existing. I should know. Trust me on that. But no, had to work in that Matthew DeSantis shot when you can. I'm also admittedly a little bit bitter that the sizzle reel they made for the Wood Memorial doesn't include the best Wood Memorial. Lord Miles Day from April 8th, 6 days from right now. Get your popcorn ready.
Yep, and if you haven't seen the video that Andrew's talking about, I actually reposted it on Twitter as of today.
Kidding aside,
on
it's
the
very
wrong
good.
lead.
It's very good.
But yeah. All right, let's move on here. We got a late pick 4 here at Aqueduct we're going to take a look at. And it's going to start in race 5 here. This is Friday's card, April 4th. Andrew and I feel like are both pretty skinny. But Andrew, as per usual, we cannot hit because in race 5 we both have singles, and we're going to be going head to head right away in race 5. Mile here, $10,000 claimer. And your morning line favorite in this race is going to be the 4 Coquito. Oh, sorry, for the 5 Trade Secret at 8-5. Coquito is 2-1. Find Your Joy at 4-1. Halo City at 6-1, and double digits on the rest. And Andrew, you went with who I thought was the favorite, but is not. You went with the number 4 Coquito here as your pick. So talk to me here about it.
So Coquito ran very, very well 2 starts ago at this route at Aqueduct, won by 2 1/4 lengths, earned a nice figure, did everything exactly the right way, and that day's second place finisher came right back to win. Off of that effort, they tried her against much tougher optional claiming company down at Laurel. She didn't get out of the gate all that well, got sent 3 wide in a 6-horse field. That's not what she wants to do. She wants to be on or near the lead, and when she is, she's very, very tough. If we get the Coquito that won twice at Finger Lakes and won 2 back at Aqueduct, I think the race is for second money. And I think we're going to get that because she is taking a significant drop in class for this one. She's dropping in from an optional claimer 30,000 level to an open $10,000 claimer at a track that we know she loves. Her lone start here was that win 2 starts back. Rudy Rodriguez is a very competent trainer, obviously one with her 2 starts back. And I just think that effort is better than any kind of effort we're going to see from anybody else in this field. I think the 5 Trade Secret is a very, very vulnerable favorite. If you look at her sheet, it just screams money burner. Last time out, she was 1-2 and didn't run a jump. A couple of starts ago, third beaten ahead. A lot of seconds and thirds for this one. A really nice mare to own. I mean, she's racked up nearly 300,000 in career earnings, but I don't know how much you can trust this horse stretching back out to a mile when the last time she ran a mile, Josh, she got tired and was a pretty distant second. I want no part of Trade Secret in here. I think the second choice is very much the horse to beat, and I'm not going to get cute with it. If that one does not win, I lose.
Yeah, and I will say for Trade Secret, I agree with you. I think a bit of a vulnerable favorite. Um, the 2 times that this horse was well odds on last time, and you know 3 back was the favorite. It was part of an entry, so it maybe was the weaker part of the entry. I'd have to look at the actual races in those, but um, you know I I very much respect Coquito. That would be the other horse I would use here. If you're looking to combine some of our picks, or if you're looking to maybe play something a little bit thicker than what I have posted, the 4 would be the horse I would throw in. But I'm gonna go with the 6. Find Your Joy here. I mean, this is the old 3 cherry special here, right? We got the E8. First off the claim for Chris Englehart, who's very good first off the claim, right? He's winning at 11% this meet, but he's 16% first off the claim. And I just think that this is probably going to be your speed here. Um, is going to be drawn outside of the 4 Coquito, so might have to do a little bit more work to kind of get over onto the rail. But I think this is definitely a horse that at this 1 turn mile here at Aqueduct has run a pretty decent race. I'm looking at the 1-2 back at the 16,000 claiming level. Got claimed for 10,000 last out and failed as the favorite there. But it's coming right back here. And I'm not worried about the barn change here. Like I said, Chris Englehart's very good first off the claim. But this is just kind of like kind of a bit of a pace play, but yeah, I mean, Coquito could very well also just kind of stalk right off of the 6 and win here. But I'm trying to make a little differentiator here because there are a couple of short prices I think I like a little bit later in the sequence. So
I can't say I blame you with Find Your Joy. The 2 back effort wasn't all that bad. My question with Find Your Joy is going off of that last out effort. If you like Find Your Joy, don't you also have to like the 7 Everly's Girl? Furthermore, if you look at Trade Secret again, one of the things that I did not mention is she's basically proven to be about even with number 3 April Antics, who's going to be a much bigger price. Ultimately, I just don't like the horses that have been running up against each other a whole bunch. I don't think this is the world's toughest field for the level. In fact, if I was going to use any other horse in here, it would probably wind up being April Antics just because there's a fair amount of speed in here. And I do think April Antics will at the very least be going the right direction late. But I think we're sort of in agreement here. We don't like the morning line favorite. We're trying to find alternatives. Ultimately, we just landed on different alternatives. And it seems like if we were going to go too deep, we'd be using, at the very least, heavily considering the other's horse. I would probably go 4-3-6 in here. You would probably go 6-4 or something. So we actually don't see this race too differently. We're just wagering on it very differently. And knowing that, we have just put Trade Secret into the winner's circle, having won by 8 or 9 lengths. Good thing there's a pick 3 starting in race number 6.
yeah, I mean, like I get that Kendrick's also ridden this horse the last 2 times, but I don't know the fact that Lascano's not riding for Linda on that horse.
And
Maybe
Kendrick on a closer, too. That's not his bread and butter.
Race 6 here. We got a 25,000 claimer for state breds going 7 furlongs, the old unicorn distance here. Um, this was kind of my spread race, Andrew, and we actually used a lot of the same horses. Um, because you used the like I guess I'll talk about my top picks first. I think that this is kind of going to be one of the two favorites races probably to win here, and that's the 7 Amundsen and the 8 Montebello at 5-2 and 2-1. I think they're the ones in here with the best shot. The 7 Amundsen, is just like a staple of the Aqueduct, just the Aqueduct circuit, right? This is a horse that wins very often here at Aqueduct. He was 8 for 21 with 3 seconds and 4 thirds, right? So a horse that loves to collect checks. Over half of his wins are here at Aqueduct, and yeah, I mean, I think the last two starts were pretty solid. I think for what he's coming up against here, and third off the layoff. I think this is a horse that has shown that gets good kind of right around this time of year. I mean, last year, in the winter, January March races at Aqueduct. I just was just kind of out there running, and then once April hit, I mean the horse just kind of was like, all right, it's time to actually start racing, and he just rattled off 4 straight wins. So coming here off, two pretty decent efforts, I just kind of think, and maybe this is just maybe not, maybe this isn't sound thinking, but I actually think that like older horses in particular after these long layoffs need a couple races to kind of get back into form. And so I really like the fact that this is third off the layoff here for the 7 months. And so, yeah, I really like this horse in this spot. And then, like I said, the 8 Montebello, first off the claim for Brad Cox. He's only 43% first off the claim. Has got races going back. I mean, probably any of the last 3 races, fit right in here. But yeah, I just think the barn change is going to be good here. Is a horse that has already been kind of running at this level, has won at this level. So yeah, I like the 7 and the 8, but I'm going to use 2 other horses as kind of bees. Um, the 2 horse be with you. I thought was uh, I thought was pretty interesting. Um, you know, that last race at Aqueduct, I mean, I don't know where that race kind of came from. At least speed figure wise on Briz, fastest races horses run. Um, and I know we're cutting back here, but I don't know. I don't really hate the cutback for these horses going from a mile to 7 furlongs. So, yeah, one at this level last time out is cutting back a little bit. Beat Montebello, which is a horse that I really like in here. So I kind of figured, using the old Andrew adage, if I like one of them, shouldn't I like the other? So I'm going to have the 2 here in with a bit of a shot, and
Before
then.
you before you go,
Mhm.
do you know where the name "Horse Be With You" comes from?
No.
It comes from the one and only Harvey Pack. That was his
Mm.
sign off every night on the recap show. May the horse be with you. And he would throw his papers at the camera and walk off.
Oh, I didn't realize Gregory Peck did that.
Go away. Go away. Go away. I'll do the rest of the show somehow. I'll stop recording, even though I don't have access to do it.
uh,
Jeez,
and then I am going to also use the entry here, the one as you go get the Lord Miles picture. I'm guessing, but I'm going to use the entry here. Um, you know, Silvestre Gonzalez has just been there. It is. Silvestre Gonzalez has been on fire here at Aqueduct. He's got 4 wins and 13 starts, and this is just like I don't want to leave him off my ticket in this spot. This is a horse that's got a race 3 back that does fit in here. Is coming in here off of a layoff. Ilke Canamarsi, 16%. He's having a pretty decent meet. And I don't think the other half of the entry, the 1A, is all that big of a slouch either. I think, if you go back to some of those Finger Lakes races, absolutely fits in here. So, um, I prefer, I think, the 1 to the 1A, but honestly, I'm going to use both of them. If one scratches out or something, I'll still use it. But I'm 1, 2, 7, 8 here with the 7 and the 8 probably going to be at press. Andrew, where did you land?
Amundsen is a really cool horse, and he has been a cool horse for a very long time. A winner of 15 of 41 starts, earnings of nearly 800,000. He's a 9-year-old gelding, so this is going to be the last year he is able to compete on the NYRA circuit. NYRA, as a house rule, does not allow 10-year-olds and up to run in their races. I agree with you completely. I think third start off the layoff is the money move there. He also ran very well last time out in a race where they wound up getting away with a little bit of a breather in the second quarter. You're talking 22-4 to the quarter, 47 to the half. That doesn't play to what Amundsen wants to do. I think there's a lot of pace signed on. For that reason, I like Amundsen, and I am fading Montebello. If you're betting Montebello, I think it's largely because of the trainer switch. And I understand that. If Montebello wins, I'll tip my cap and I'll move on. But you would have to think if Montebello was loaded, Brad Cox would have something resembling a first call rider on him. Luis Rivera has ridden for Brad Cox 5 times. He's 0 for 0 for 5. Could his best race win this? Maybe. But also, if any other trainer is training Montebello first off the claim, he's not 2-1. For that reason, I'm going to try to beat him. And the ones that I like underneath are the entry. Gone and Forgotten and Brewpub. Of those two, given the likely race shape, I prefer Gone and Forgotten. That race last time out didn't break down the way he probably needed it to. Mozienko, that day's winner, is another veteran of the circuit, a really nice horse who would probably be one of the favorites in this particular spot. I like the fact that he's going to get a pace to run at, and I think he's going to be dangerous as the field turns for home. But for me, leaning on Amundsen and both halves of the one entry, preferring Gone and Forgotten over Brewpub, trying to take a stand against the 2-1 favorite.
All right. Race 7 here. We got a optional claimer going a mile here. And Andrew, I think we kind of flip flop because I think this looks like a race that you're spreading in. So talk to me.
Oh, it absolutely is. You start right off with 2 horses that on their best days could win this race. You have Power Seeker, who 2 starts ago was a very impressive winner, going a mile and an eighth at Saratoga, but hasn't raced since August 23rd. Horse number 2, Star of Wonder, is 9-5 on the morning line. He won 3 of 4 last year. His best race is very good, but we haven't seen him since November 24th. Javier Castellano sees fit to ride. Josh, his form this year seems like it's declining. I don't like saying that about Javier Castellano, who at his best was one of the best riders anywhere, period. Legitimate Hall of Famer. But I look at this horse. Am I using him? Yes. You can probably get the defensive B button ready because of that. But I've also got a single in the first leg that isn't the favorite, and I'm going against the favorite in race number 6. So I'm spreading here. I'm using 2 others as well. Number 6, Repo Rocks, at his best, was one of the fastest horses anywhere. He's come off of that form pretty significantly, but even so, last year his connections saw fit to run him in the 49er and the Cigar Mile. There's nothing wrong with running 7th behind Locked in that particular race. Last time out, he was a good second in a handicap race won by Bookham Dano, who would win a lot of one-turn races anywhere. I got to use Repo Rocks. I also need to use a horse that's 8-1 on the morning line, and I think might be a bigger price come post time. And that's the 4, Nelson Avenue. I see Kendrick Carmouche hop on a speed horse, and immediately you have my attention. That's a big move. His best race is absolutely good enough to win this, and he seems like the main early speed in this spot. 2 starts ago, goes early, fades to finish 6th in the toboggan. Last time out, he went 2 turns, going a mile and an eighth. I don't know why they sent him 2 turns. He is not a 2-turn horse. He is a 1-turn mile type horse, and that's the route he gets in this spot. with a jockey that knows how to put speed horses on the lead. I need to have Nelson Avenue on the ticket. It's entirely possible. Maybe he's just not the same horse he was last year. If you're hesitant because of those last two starts, I understand it. But given his likely price and given the likely race shape, I need to have this one on the ticket just in case he goes from the gate and doesn't stop.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said about the four was maybe was another horse that I might have to include on here. I have two singles in my sequence, so I'm gonna put the B down here just in case. But this was a horse I looked at for a very very long time. I ended up not using him. You've talked me into him. Especially, I don't know what the weather looks like at Aqueduct, but if this track comes up muddy at all, this is absolutely like, I mean, you
It
upgrade this
may
horse like
rain
crazy.
Friday morning, from what the weather forecast has said. Nothing heavy. Is there a chance there might be some moisture in the track? Maybe.
Yeah, this is one that you would definitely upgrade on a muddy track,
Oh,
I think.
sure. Yeah.
But in the same vein for the four, with me, I went with the five, Jamie Dreams, because I kind of saw it the same way. Like, maybe there's a shot that this is a horse that just kind of gets out there and goes, but this is also a horse that's going to be cutting back a little bit. So maybe, going because Parks is a 2-turn mile, isn't it?
It is, and I'm happy you mentioned Parks. If this horse brings the Parks form to Aqueduct, he's a major player.
Mm-hmm.
That's dodgy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, in fact, I would even venture to say most times, Parks form does not travel. And that is not a knock on Parks. Please don't get that twisted. But when it comes to its surface, Parks is sort of its own little world.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna get a decent enough price on this horse. Like I said, is coming in with good form. So yeah, I'm gonna take a shot here with the five, and then the only other horse I'm using is the six, Repo Rocks. And you know, I've been on record many times saying class doesn't matter, right? And it does not matter, right? However, when you run very well against horses that are better than the horses that you're running against now, I mean, ran second to Bookham Dano and gave him a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I just think that this horse has run against much better than basically the rest of the field, with the exception of maybe um the four, who did have a brief, had a nice second actually in the 49er last year. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think Repo Rocks is. I mean, if he can get back anywhere to some of his earlier form, I mean, he just lays over this field, I think. So, but once again, we're trying to get this Mid Atlantic form to travel to Aqueduct. So, I'm gonna 5 and 6. I'm actually gonna include the four here. Just because I do think that the four, for the same reasons, kind of that I like the five. The four's got a good shot at maybe getting loose out here. So.
Yeah, regardless, this is an excellent race for the level. This is an optional claimer going a mile. This looks a lot more like a listed stake or even a grade 3, given some of the horses that are signed on here. This is a fun race.
All right, and then race 8 here, 6 furlongs, 16,000 non-winners of two here, and Andrew, I'm gonna keep it short. Um, I'm putting all my eggs in the Shaman Princess basket. Um, I kind of looked at this race, and this just looks to be, the speed of the speed in this race. I mean, you got some horses that have been forwardly placed, but I don't know. I just think that this horse is faster than them. I mean, this is a horse that's shown, you know, pretty decent 6 furlong speed. Um, you got a horse like Eastern Star, who really has, he run fast, but at the maiden level, and doing a lot of it at 7 furlongs, not necessarily 6 furlongs. Same thing with like a horse like the four. Is more of a miler, and then outside of that, you just don't really have any horses, I think, that have really, really kind of shown a ton of speed. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna take my shot here. I'm pretty sure this is probably your yeah, this is your 2-to-1 favorite. So I'm not not sticking my neck out all that much, but yeah, I just think that this is going to set up pace wise really well for this horse. Ran second at this level last time out. Is coming right back here, and the winner of that race, or the winner of that race, came back to win next out. So, yeah, I give me all Shaman Princess, and I don't need anybody else. Andrew, how did you see it?
We think pretty similarly here. I just needed to go a little bit deeper. Shaman Princess is certainly the most likely winner. The last two starts have both been at this level, and they've both been pretty good. Two back second, beating a half length, going 7 furlongs, cuts back to 6.5 furlongs, runs second behind a next out winner. There's not a lot to go against with this horse. The only reason I can't single this one is I look and I see a horse that's 0 for 11 on dirt. I know that this is a non-winners of two life field, but I can't put all my eggs in the Shaman Princess basket because of that. And if it turns out that she's just a horse that finds ways to lose, I want to at least be covered, especially since, again, in a number of those legs, I'm going against the favorite. So I used a couple of other horses as well that figure to show some early speed because I'm looking at this race, and on dirt, there's maybe one horse that likes passing others, and I think she's off form. That's number 3, Ali's Song, who the race 3 back was not bad, but I just can't recommend given the last two outings being as bad as they were. I'm using number 4, Daniil, who comes in off of a win last time out. She was 0 for 17 prior to that. I don't know what she beat last time, but the last 3 outings have been decent. She's got speed, but doesn't necessarily need the lead, which I think is a plus. And maybe there's a chance she's figured some stuff out. I am also going to be using horse number 5, Eastern Star. Eastern Star had a very nice win, 2 back. Last time, bad ride. Too far off the pace. Ran up against Shaman Princess. Shaman Princess ran second. Eastern Star ran fifth. But Eastern Star did not get the desired trip. And my guess is Jose Gomez got a talking to after that race from David Donk because this is a speed horse. And at the first point of call, she was 4.5 lengths behind in a race that didn't have a legitimately fast pace. There was no excuse for her to be where she was. I think she's going to be more forward in this spot. And I just don't think there are a lot of horses in here that want to pass others, Josh. So for that reason, give me the 3 speed horses and I'm good.
So you're going to use the
458.
458?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anything else on the sequence?
Well, I mean, we didn't talk about the likely second choice in here. We probably should, and that's Despo's Dream. Despo's Dream has a couple of races from Kentucky last fall that, if replicated, would make her tough. But she came to Aqueduct, and it just seems like she hates the surface. Major drop down in class for Linda Rice. If you're betting Linda Rice, I understand, but it's not like she comes in off of anything where I could possibly recommend her, especially at that price. So that's another one that I will gladly go against at the likely value.
Yeah, and that's a Linda Rice move that usually works out, and it just seems like this is one it didn't work out with, right? Claiming from
No.
Kentucky and shipping it to Aqueduct, like.
And some horses don't like Aqueduct. That's been the story from the beginning of time, even before they changed the surface to where they only needed one track as opposed to the inner. Rest in peace, Aqueduct Inner Track. I still have that hoodie, by the way, that the Forbes family sold. Very much enjoy that. But it just doesn't seem like Aqueduct is what she wants, and she's been running like it. So I can't bet her, especially at that kind of a price. And Josh, I really hope people see Linda Rice and hammer that, and I hope she goes off favored, because if she does, I think she's a bad favorite.
All right, Andrew, I got your ticket up here. If my math is correct, it looks like a $12 ticket.
It is, yes. I'm going against the favorite in legs 1 and 2. I'm spreading a bit in legs 3 and 4. This is a $12 ticket, and if we wind up returning 80 to $100, I'll be pretty happy.
Yep, and that's 4 with 1-7, with 1-2-4-6, with 4-5-8. And I have what amounts to basically a $6 ticket here because I'm bookending on singles, and then I got 4 horses in the second leg, 3 horses in the third leg. So I'm 6 with 1, 2, 7, 8, with 4, 5, 6, with 8. So that's 12 combinations for a $6 ticket. And our consensus ticket looks something like this, Andrew.
We've got a
X.
consensus late pick 3 that you can play for cheap.
I mean, honestly, you could just toss our two singles in that first leg, and you'd be what 4-6 with 1-7 with 4-6 with 8.
Yep.
I don't think
That's a $4 ticket. That's not
yeah,
bad.
yeah. But yeah, what else you got going on this week, Andrew?
Oh, this week, it's a lot of actually wedding planning stuff. Stuff is beginning to come together. We're very excited about that. Yeah, just a lot of that. Finally made some progress on getting rid of some boxes last weekend. It's taken a little while, but boxes are finally starting to leave the residence. Thank you, empty and broken down. So, hoping to be able to do a little bit more of that this weekend. And in the interim, just trying to hit this late pick four at Aqueduct, man.
There you go. And yeah, we're gonna be live tonight, Thursday night, at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, like usual. And yeah, we'll be taking a look at lots of racing over the weekend. Obviously, we got the Santa Anita card. We have Aqueduct. We're going to take a look at, and then Mark keeps on saying there's other races that we definitely need to look at. I don't know what he's talking about. But apparently there's some other big races that Mark is very, very interested in talking about. So I'm sure he's gonna force our hands to talk about those races as well.
It's good that he's keeping you guys honest on Thursday nights while I'm at bowling. Someone should.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Mark, but that man loves Middle Eastern racing. I don't know why.
Oh, Dubai. That's where he's
He
going.
loves it. He loves it. He plays. He doesn't just play because it's Dubai that runs other cards, right? Or is it Maidan?
So there's Maidan, which is in Dubai. There's also racing in Qatar. There's racing in Bahrain. There's racing in Saudi Arabia, which, as we know, because Jimmy Jerkins was over there for a while, he's back now, I guess, and trying to drum up some business for later in the year. Very happy, by the way, to have him back. Phenomenal horseman from a phenomenal family. But yeah, if Middle Eastern racing is your jam, you've got the Dubai World Cup card coming up later this week. I'll be interested in seeing the UAE Derby for 3-year-olds. There's a horse named Flood Zone that won the Gotham. I've been having a little bit of fun with the way he won the Gotham in my Derby bubble columns because he ran the mile, Josh, in 139 and change. That is a mere 7 seconds off of the track record set by Easy Goer. Works out to 35 lengths. But yeah, tell us how the breed now is better than it was 30 years ago. You can't. At any rate, Flood Zone is in that race. But the reason I'm interested in that race is because a number of horses that chased Luxor Cafe in the Hyacinth 2 starts ago are running in that race. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to make some sort of conclusion, one way or the other, about the quality of horses that Luxor Cafe has been beating once we see the UAE Derby on Saturday, which I believe would be Saturday morning, although they are backing up the start of the card to run an hour later because of oppressive heat. It gets hot in the Middle East, folks. I know, shocker, right? But I'll be looking forward to that. And if we'll be able to get any sort of clarity from that race as it pertains to a horse from Japan that could be coming here, that's a big plus.
And that's going to do it for us here on Drank and Champagne. As always, check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Andrew's at Andrew Champagne. You can check him out at winnersandwiners.com. Pollock Report, he's got his Derby Bubble stuff up there. And then, like I said, we'll be live Thursday night with talking about all weekends racing. We'll definitely have You Gotta Be Shot tinning me out on Friday, and yeah, more content. And we're getting closer. We're about a month out, so we can almost taste it, Andrew.
Lord Miles Day, April 8th.
God, have a good weekend, everyone.